Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. I am your host, Annalena, and today I'm going to share with you some of my own personal reflection from the second annual True Sidereal Summit that I hosted this past week, and also some new exciting developments in the True Sidereal world when it comes to pulling your True Sidereal Human Design charts and also Gene Keys profile calculations. First of all, to give you a little bit of a recap in case you're new in my world, I want to tell you a little bit about my story because when it comes to human design, this may be something completely new to you. So I started my journey with human design about 5 years ago, almost six now. And I was totally mesmerized by the system because I felt so seen. There were so many elements that just resonated so much. And obviously, I was using the tropical version of my chart. I didn't honestly know that there could be anything else besides this. And after about 3 years into my human design journey, which through this time actually I also discovered the gene keys quite soon after I dove into human design. And that was just so enriching for me because it went so much deeper into the essence of the 64 gates. And eventually, as I was following what felt right to me, because that's really the one thing that I feel is the wisdom for everybody that human design has for us, is that you're here to trust yourself, right? And this is a body feeling. It's not like what the mind thinks you have to do, so that you can really discern where your body is guiding you towards. And this led me into the world of sidereal astrology. One of my students actually brought it up, and I have always been a very open-minded person. Actually, this is something since I'm a child. I could never really understand, how people fight or get so separated because they believe in different things. I was always under the belief that, we're all here to coexist and we have different truth. And one person wants to pick this religion, one person likes this esoteric system. As long as it's based on love and we can accept each other, it's all fine, right? It's not about one thing is right, one is wrong. The only thing that I really care about is that whatever you feel like can help you to be your most empowered version, because you're a sovereign being, you're special, you're so unique. There's nobody like you in this world, right? And you're here to share your light, not to dim it. And human design just helped me with this a lot. And like I said, it led me to the world then eventually of sidereal and true sidereal astrology. And then I learned that the human design chart is actually using astrology calculations to put the whole body graph together. And like I was saying, the traditional human design is based on tropical astrology. And once I really started to research and learn a little bit more about astrology, I actually discovered that when I pulled up my True Sidereal Astrology chart, that was the very first time ever that I felt really seen in my astrology chart. And everything else from tropical before was helpful, I have to say, but there were some things that really felt off. For example, I had a lot of air signs and they shifted all into earth signs. So I felt like there was a lot of earth energy missing in my tropical chart. And then in my true sidereal chart, everything just, it kind of fell into place. It was just like, yeah, this is it. This is who I am. It was just a confirmation that I needed in some way. And then as I did some more research, I already learned that there were other people like me that went into this journey like years before I did. And they also discovered this, and they created actually lots of YouTube videos about it and talked about it, how your chart changes when you use sidereal or true sidereal astrology calculations. And then I became a little bit obsessed with it because it was just so fascinating and it felt just more true to me, because true sidereal astrology is using what's actually visible in the sky, and tropical astrology is maybe a little bit of a shock to you. But if you see in the media that there's a full moon in Gemini, if you actually look up in the sky, it's likely not in Gemini, it's most likely in Taurus. Like it's about a sign usually off. And all the planets that's being talked about, where Pluto is and all of this, like that's not where they're actually in the sky in the constellations. And for me, that was a little bit of a, what do you mean? I always thought that astrology is telling us where the stars are in the sky. But true sidereal astrology is actually doing this. And with that, the human design chart also is changing. Now, while there was an initial chart calculator with Cosmic Human Design, I'm very, very grateful for Richard Mason's work here. I really liked using Genetic Matrix as a software, but it was a little bit tricky to create true sidereal charts with this. But now, since this summer, Ethan Chimenti from Mastering the Zodiac, who is the founder of True Sidereal Astrology, has finalized his calculation method for the True Sidereal Astrology, which is called the Midpoint method. So this was kind of a breakthrough moment this year that we finally have some official calculations we can rely on to also then create these human design charts based on True Sidereal calculations. So that is that, just to give a little bit of a background. And I can just tell you from my own experience, working with my True Sidereal chart felt like totally coming home. It's where I have felt the most seen. While I have to say my tropical chart was definitely an amazing stepping stone for me. It gave me so many permission slips that I wasn't giving myself. One of them being a quite multi-passionate person, for example, or allowing myself to use my natural talents rather than thinking I need to use what I studied in college or some kind of a degree that I need to obtain. And however, with this true sidereal chart, there were some finer nuances that felt even more true, and it what led to this next level of empowerment in some way. And I also realized there were certain things where I still kept holding back and I kept playing small. And somehow I used the tropical human design chart sometimes as an excuse not to do certain things. So that's a very interesting observation for me. And again, this is my own personal experience. And I just felt even more empowered and even more deeply trusting myself with the true sidereal version of my chart. And then also, I offered this also to my clients, and there was so much resonance. I had so many people reach out to me because while I was saying there were already lots of people working with this, it was still a little bit under the radar, I want to say. And I think some people actually felt that they needed to hold back, not to trigger anybody that was using the regular traditional human design based on tropical astrology. But I was like, no, why not? I mean, tropical is fine. This was very helpful for me for many, many years. But I have this extremely strong resonance in my body with all things true sidereal, and I cannot not follow this path. This is my path. I have to do this. And of course, it does take courage. It does take stepping into the unknown because my whole business was built on all things tropical. But I was like, hey, it's something new. And it also really worked well with my overall approach to human design, which is very holistic. I don't see the 5 types as super helpful sometimes because oftentimes it's more boxing people in and limiting. And I have found that we have really elements of all the 5 types in most charts. And this is something that you really learn when you understand the finer nuances of these 64 gates and channels and also the gene keys, which go into much deeper depth. The question is really only always like if we are in the shadow of an energy or in the higher expression. So with that said, last year in December, I hosted for the very first time the True Sidereal Summit because everything was just synchronistically flowing in this direction so much that it was just, one night I had this like download and I was like, I gotta do this. And it came very easy to me to put this all together, to connect with the speakers and record the interviews. And it was a huge success. It was amazing. We had almost 500 people, I think, sign up, and over 200 or 300 people join a community during the summit. And people felt so seen. I received so many thank you messages and lots of requests like, are you going to do this again next year? And so, of course, this year, 2025, I hosted the second annual True Sidereal Summit. And again, we had a total of 13 speakers, which one of them is me, as the host of the summit. So it was a total of 12 interviews. And it was about all things True Sidereal astrology, human design, and also a little bit of gene keys. And we had some of the speakers from last year, for example, Chimenti, the founder of True Sidereal for Mastering the Zodiac, has been part of the summit for both years. This year, we also had Anna Maria Raiko. She is one of the astrologers over at Mastering the Zodiac as well. And we had Isaac Rodriguez as well. He taught us about the magic of the 13th sign of Ficus. We had Dr. Danny, who is a physician astrologer. She's incredible, amazing. Talk about Venus and how magically life-changing she is. And there was so much more. Now, the summit is over now, and you may be like, oh my God, I want to listen to this. And the good news is that you can still join us for this summit by purchasing the VIP Access Pass, which is actually available for 40% off until December 21st. Depending on the time when you're watching it, it's going to be available. It's going to be down here in the show notes. It is so worth it. Again, I received so many messages of how life-changing it was for people. It was so deeply inspiring. And I had so much fun again. It was a blissful, and while it was a lot of work, to be honest, to put this all together, put everything on my website and create the funnels and the email sequences and everything and the community, which this time we almost had 600 people in there. And many of them were quite active and sharing their reflections from the daily interviews and everything. So that was just so, so beautiful to see. But yeah, while it was a lot of work, it felt effortless in the way because everything just came together. And I have talked about this a lot over the years. Like when you're doing what is aligned with your truth, like your path opens up. And it's like the universe is like excited because like, yeah, she's walking her path and then let's make it easy, You still have to take action. You still have to get out of your comfort zone and actually do this stuff. But there is not this like external resistance constantly trying to redirect you to your path because you're on your path, right? So this was that. And I am actually super excited already, looking forward to next year's summit that the participants also, some of them already ask about it, and I'm already like thinking about it. If you happen to also work in this field yourself or you know somebody that you think may be a really good fit as a guest speaker for next year, feel free to reach out. I will probably finalize the guest list in August or September of 2026 for next year's summit. Now, one other thing that was so synchronistically perfect is the timing of the summit. And the timing didn't come from my mind. It literally came from what felt right. So last year it was like, oh, it was the first week of December. And then this year again, I wanted to do that around the same time. So it was again the beginning of December. And when I looked at the calendar, at first my mind was like, you need to pick the first week of December, but it felt a little bit rushed because this year I actually launched my whole business on a new platform for my courses and website and everything. So I knew that I had to like recreate a lot of things from the summit that I had already created from last year because I had to move everything to the new system. And in my gut, in my belly, it was just the right time to do it the second week of December. So it was from December 8th to the 13th. And magically, that is also the exact time when the sun is transiting through this 13th sign of Ficus. I think it started on December 6th, and then it's until, I believe, December 18th, 19th, and then it moves into Sagittarius. And so this 13th sign is something that we all knew about thousands and thousands of years ago, but then it was removed from the zodiac because having 12 zodiac signs evenly 30 degrees is just much easier to calculate things, right? But the way that nature looks like is actually different. And Ophiuchus is this energy about really looking at the pain we go through and healing it, extracting the learning lessons, right? And so I really find that this is the missing piece we often have when it comes to this inner healing work and all these spiritual concepts. And I invite you to actually look it up. The Ophiuchus is also called the serpent bearer. That's kind of the sign of Ophiuchus if you look this up. And yeah, so I was kind of amazed because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even plan this logically. This just like was an after the fact realization that I had, because this is really what separates true sidereal astrology from true sidereal, from tropical astrology, that we have this 13th sign. And also we're using the actual sizes of the constellations, because some of the signs, so Ophiuchus, for example, is fairly small, but Sagittarius is pretty big. Pisces is huge. Virgo, I think, is one of the biggest constellations. Aries, rather small. And for me, this is all about aligning with nature, right? And this is for those that resonate with us, right? This may not be for everyone, because I do understand there's a lot of people that have been working with tropical astrology and also human design for a really, really long time. And that's all they want to know about. And that's what resonates with them. And that's totally fine, right? I think we have to be accepting with each other that we have different truth and different things that resonate with us. And like I said, from my own journey, I did resonate with tropical for over 3 years. And then once True Sidereal came in my way, I still looked at both charts for quite some time. And also with a lot of clients, I often work with both charts so they can kind of understand the story that is in both charts. But eventually I was just like, no, I really want to focus on this True Sidereal. That's just really what resonates with me. And also when the chart, your human design chart changes, and of course also the gene keys in the golden path, the particular gene keys you have in each of these spheres and the lines, they also change with that as well. Now, that also for me opened up so much depth, so many realizations, and it's, yeah, for me, really what feels most aligned to me. And I'm not saying this is the only way and it will never change again. I think we are here to take systems that we have been given and evolve, right? And bring our own essence into this. And all of this is because of the wonderful work of Ra from Human Design. My teacher from Human Design is Karen Curry Parker. She always encouraged me to do my own thing. And I'm so grateful that she kept saying that, right? Because she's doing it her way, I'm doing it my way. And even when I first studied with her over 5 years ago, actually, I remember she one time actually talked about sidereal and like some people work with sidereal charts, and I wasn't even interested at the time. But it changed. 3 years later, I was like, oh my God, what is this? I want to know all about it. And then also Richard Rudd, the Gene Keys has really inspired me and influenced my path so much. And yeah, now the really exciting news that I want to share with all of you is that we now have a very easy way for you to pull your True Sidereal Human Design chart and also the Gene Keys calculations as well. Because until now, it was a little bit difficult because in genetic matrix, you had to make some manual adjustments. And while I have shared some videos about this, you can find this also. I'm going to put this also here below this video. It's going to be another YouTube video that you can check out where I explain how to do this. And then also you had to purchase the pro version for that as well. Now, since in June or July of this year, when Ethan Chimenti published the official calculations, how the midpoint method for True Sidereal astrology is calculated, we now have access to these specific numbers. So one of the things, so if you do use genetic matrix and have the pro version, which I think many practitioners have, there's just one time that you have to update the settings, which again, I explain in this video. And then you can run as many true sidereal charts, but you don't no longer have to make manual adjustments for every single chart. And that's what we kind of did before with like a manual Excel sheet. And it was great for the time being, but then it got better. The other thing that evolved, which now created this new possibility for you to pull your own True Sidereal Human Design charts for free, is that BodyGraph approached me early in 2025 if I was interested in their software. So BodyGraph, to give you a little bit of context, is a wonderful software for especially human design practitioners, also people that do astrology, where it helps you build your business in a way that you can have your own customized, branded with your own colors. And also you can create reports and all these kind of things for free, and also paid reports for your business, for your website, right? So you have your own chart calculator on your website, and it's a revenue building tool where you can also create your own customized reports, for human design and based on what the human design chart looks like. And when they approached me, I told them, yeah, I have seen your software. I think it's really cool, but here's the problem. I no longer really work with Tropical. I use this True Sidereal version of human design. And I do have a software, I explained to them, that's Genetic Matrix. It works okay for me, but I would love to have BodyGraph where I can have my own chart calculator. And I love that you can customize it with your own colors. I'm all into branding and making things pretty, always have been. And of course, also the possibility to create your own reports that you can also sell on your website, right? Because not everybody wants to or can afford a one-on-one session to have their own personal reading with me. So this is something that I'm actually still working on, the reports, but it's also coming soon. So long story short, it took us about, I want to say 9 months until this finally started to work, because when we first connected the True Sidereal calculations, we still did it very manual, and we really had to wait for Ethan Chimenti to finalize the midpoint method calculation. So since it happened in the summer, since then I have been very actively working with BodyGraph behind the scenes and, checking charts and comparing things and making sure everything looks correct. And my goal was to have it ready for the summit, and they made it happen. I'm so grateful to them. They are truly, truly amazing. Also very open-minded people and very, very supportive of businesses, that work especially with human design. So with that, below this episode video, you are going to find another domain that I published, which is called TrueSiderealHumanDesign.com. You can just go there and you're going to find all the resources there. So there will be the link to the free chart calculator on my website. And you will also find the details about BodyGraph, because maybe you are also interested to have your own human design chart calculator on your website. And this works for both. If you work with Tropical, you can obviously use it, but this also now works for True Sidereal. So this is kind of new, because I personally know a lot of people that do work with True Sidereal, because that's what I've been working with, obviously. And that's amazing. I mean, this is like, I'm almost in shock that we finally made it happen. So that is there. And then also there's also some information about genetic matrix for those of you that use that for the true sidereal calculations, along with the video I created. And the other thing that I have also gotten approached about is Gene Keys contemplation. So if you are signed up for any of the Gene Keys courses, the activation sequence, the Venus sequence, the Pearl sequence, or the upcoming Golden Path online retreat that's starting in January 2026, which is going to be going on for 14 months. There may be some of you that want to use your true sidereal astrology calculations for this, right? Because the Gene Keys courses, when you sign up for them, they are all based on tropical calculations, obviously, right? And what you can do once you pull your own chart, and there's a PDF download, and on there you will also find your Gene Keys calculations along with the human design chart. You can actually just follow along the original Gene Keys courses and just use your true sidereal Gene Keys, right? It's just going to be a different Gene Key and a different line. And then you can follow along. And the Gene Keys website, you can also purchase the audios separately, or Richard Rudd has the 64 Ways book, the white book, and then the big blue book from the Gene Keys. Again, I'll make sure I list all of these resources here so that you know how to do your contemplations if you're interested with the true sidereal gene keys because many people have asked me about it. And right in this moment, I don't yet have the capacity, or maybe I don't know actually if there's enough demand for me to host another community to support a specific group with the True Sidereal Gene Keys Contemplations while you still purchase the original sequences from the genekeys.com website. But this is something I'm thinking about, and I may offer this later on. So if this is something where you would like to have another community where everybody that's following along the True Sky Gene Keys calculations, then let me know, reach out to me, and I'm happy to, consider that in the future. But for now, you got your chart, your Gene Keys profile based on True Sidereal, and you can just follow along the original courses and just switch up your numbers, right? So yeah, I think this is a pivotal moment for me because there were many times where I wasn't sure this was going to work out. There were a lot of hiccups. I felt definitely frustrated along the journey because I wanted it to be faster. But I have to say and remind myself and you right now that always trust in divine timing. Seriously. It so magically happened to work just the week before the summit started. It was meant to be, you know? I could have pushed it, I could have forced it, and everybody has also lots of other things going on. I had a lot of other things in my business. The people from BodyGraph have a lot of projects they're working on. Ethan Chimenti is incredibly busy over at Mastering the Zodiac, right? So there was a lot of things that we had to coordinate and talk about and double check. And also I had a lot of my clients also help me out with, reviewing the charts for accuracy and all these kind of things. So yeah, sometimes things take a little bit longer, but always trust that happens for a reason. It definitely taught me a lot of patience. And if you know a little bit about the gene keys, the fifth gene key talks about patience in particular. That's the gift, and the shadow is impatient and impatience. So yeah, trust that journey of yours that is unfolding for you because maybe you are also an online entrepreneur and your business is not quite where you would like it to be. It's exactly where it needs to be, you know, and it's going to unfold. You just have to take one little step at a time. And to give you a little bit of advice from this last 9 months, it's not going to be easy. You're going to get challenged a lot. There's going to be a lot of triggers coming up, but you're going to keep trusting yourself and it will work. And life will show you what your path is. And sometimes what we want to work is not going to work the way we want it to work out, right? That can also be because there's something even better there. That's also something that I've experienced so many times. So this is all I wanted to share with you all. I am super grateful. I'm super excited. Just to recap, you can still purchase the VIP Access Pass from the second annual True Sidereal Summit. I highly recommend it. It was so incredible. It was so amazing. You get 40% off until December 21st if you sign up for it. And I will share the True Sidereal Human Design page where you get all the resources to the free calculator and all the good stuff. So I hope you enjoy. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'm excited to be back with you on the next episode. Ciao, everyone.